Hi and welcome. My name is Denise Hill and I am the host and the producer.
And I'm author Felicia Malone.
And I am author and motivational speaker Myra Cassidy.
And we are all three authors and we are the host of
Girl Talk.
Welcome. We hope you guys enjoy our first segment. We're going to be talking about mental health. It just seems like this is just people are coming out the woodworks with this.
You know, definitely.
When you think of mental illness, mental health, what comes to mind?
I think initially the stereotype of mental health comes to mind. I have a friend and her favorite phrase is, girl, they crazy.
Yes.
It's always they crazy.
Right.
Anybody that, does something a little bit out of the norm. But I have come to learn that mental health just encompasses all of the diagnosable illnesses and also the things emotionally that affect how you think.
Right.
So, there's the story in the news about B. Smith. She's suffering from Alzheimer's. And so I wonder, is that considered like a mental illness because it affects your cognitive abilities?
I think anything that messes with the mind
is a form of it.
Yeah, because I never really thought depression was a form of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just never thought that.
Yeah.
But someone pointed that out to me one day, and I just never thought that.
I mean, even depression, anxiety, and it's kind of like you were saying, so many people suffer from depression, and that's sad that that's what stops them from seeking help is the fact that they don't want to be labeled as crazy.
Exactly.
And this is another thing, too. So many people, they feel that because they have some type of issue that is affecting their mentality, that automatically means they're going to be prescribed medication. And that's not the case.
Right.
That's not the case at all. Sometimes you just need someone to talk to.
Yes.
And you're fine. So sometimes getting a good mental health professional is simply all you need. Sometimes it could be something as far as changing even your diet, depending on what mental illness you're suffering from. You'd be surprised by how much of what we eat is affecting our minds.
Right.
You know what I mean? Take a child, right, who has ADHD or ADD. All right, these attention deficit disorders. You'd be surprised, and I'm one of those moms, or I'm one of those parents, or one of those, however you want to put it, people who kind of believe in always going as far as natural remedies first before just accepting
medication.
Medication. And there's so many, and there's also the popularity of DO doctors is becoming more popular.
Right.
Instead of
What do you mean by DO doctors?
Doctors that have more of a homeopathic sense of study behind them. I can't even remember what DL stands for, but it's more of the homeopathic way of treating things. So when you go and you see one, they don't always go with, here's a medication. And sometimes doctors feel like that's what you come to me for, that's what you want, here's a medication.
And then some people get hooked on pills and things like that. Yeah. When it comes to mental illness, when you think about depression, I think there's two types of depressions. Some people get depressed because maybe they're overweight, or things is not going the way they want them to go, or the relationship that they were in ended. Okay, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And then there's some depressions where you got everything going for you, and you still are not happy. You're still depressed, but you don't know what is causing that.
Well, in terms of mental illness, I would say it's maybe a spectrum. I mean, there are a lot of diagnoses, but if we're speaking specifically of depression, I mean, you have the blues, as we refer to it, but you also have your clinical depression where there's a chemical imbalance.
Yes.
And so that, although it may have similar manifestations,
right,
you'd have to be diagnosed and you'd have to be treated. But when I think of mental health, and even with depression, and going back to what Myra was saying, if you had a physical ailment, right? Let's say you have type 2 diabetes. Well, type 2 diabetes is different from type 1. Type 1 is genetic versus type 2 can be reversed or managed with, exercise and eating healthy and things like that.
Exactly.
But if you had type 2 diabetes, you would be prescribed, a certain set of things to do to assist you in either
Right.
managing it or helping reverse it. But when it comes to mental illness, there's such a stigma, especially within our community.
Yeah.
You don't want to be labeled as crazy.
Right.
That people are unwilling to take, let's say, go see a therapist. You know, black people don't go to therapy, they pray.
It's not there. Yes,
Exactly.
Yes.
And I was watching
true.
I was watching a YouTube show, and the guy's like, well, who's therapying the therapist? And I'm like, what? Hopefully you have someone who's trained professionally,
Right.
and they can give you tools, you know, stress management.
Right.
If you suffer from anxiety, like, they can help you identify your triggers
Right.
and coping mechanisms. So it's like that whole diabetes thing. If you have to exercise 3 times a week, if you have to avoid white bread and things like that, it's
Right.
the same as mental illness. And I think having forums like this and people talking about it openly and without judgment, that
Right.
helps as well.
And I think people need to be more understanding.
Yeah.
Be, loving. That's what we need to show more of, because, you never know what someone is going through.
And if someone is labeled as crazy, what happens to that person? They're usually avoided, dismissed, or
Right.
something. Oh, that's so crazy, Stella. You know.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we're not going to deal with her because she's crazy,
It's really unfortunate, but when you look at also, it's important that people understand that when you go and you see a mental health professional, just like you can have, physicians who may not be the best at their practice,
Yes.
you
Right.
have to be careful about who you're selecting
Exactly.
to manage your mind.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Because that's a whole other area of study, and there's even, I've read about, I heard about different situations where they have the ability to, that's why if you're suffering from something like a post-traumatic stress disorder or something like that, a lot of times when it comes to that area of trauma, they have to kind of let you kind of come into it on your own, because if they kind of fish for different things, it can actually plant false memories in your
Right.
mind.
Exactly.
And that's really, when you have the power to control a mind like that, you have to be careful about being aware of, like, for example, if you need to go see a cardiologist, you just look it up and go see anybody. Hopefully, you would look at a couple different things, location, what
Right.
education does this person
Right.
have,
Any kind
and
of
different
reviews.
things like that
Yes.
as well. Right,
Right.
because this is your health, and this is
Right.
your well-being. And you should take it in seriously and be careful about who you choose to help you manage whatever's going on.
Yeah. And I think that is an excellent point that you're making, that if it doesn't work out, let's say you're going to see a therapist or psychiatrist, just depending on the severity, if it doesn't work out with that one professional, don't give up. Because I've also heard that, like, oh, I tried therapy.
Right. And it
And-
didn't work.
Yeah. Like, try it again.
Right. Or there's group therapies too. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Not everyone has, good old auntie who has that good common sense. Come on, child. let me talk. And she is the family therapist. She's, for some
Right.
reason, she's
Yeah.
just got this ability to be approachable.
Right.
She's got this life experience, and she's open, and, she can kind of just, because really, a lot of times individuals need to be heard.
Right.
They just need to be heard
Yes.
and not judged,
Right.
And unfortunately, people don't just have that, you know what I mean, in their
Right.
life. It's a good thing, because there are people out there who do have that strong support system. We can go
Right.
sit at Aunt Mabel's house and, and she just kind of listens and
Right.
doesn't judge and has enough of life experience and common sense to give good direction. So that's not something that everyone always has. So like you said, there's other options, group therapies, maybe something as well. They even have online therapy now. Like, you don't have to
They have
leave your
text
home.
therapy. They
I
have a
didn't realize
text
that. They have text
therapist.
therapy now?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
You can text someone, and then they text you back, and you have like a text conversation. I don't remember the name, but yeah, it's like a text therapy.
Well, see,
I
that's
don't know how
good.
effective it is, but it exists.
Right, it's options. Options.
That's
They-
good
yeah,
that we
options.
have options now. People don't feel so bad admitting that they have issues.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people like to brush it up under the rug and not talk about it. But it's good that we can come out and talk about it now, and maybe people can get the help that they need, and they realize, oh, well, I'm not the only person that's going through this.
Yeah.
And maybe they won't feel so bad.
And also, I think a lot of people that I've encountered, they're open to therapy, but they feel like the cost is a
Yes,
barrier
that's another thing.
to assistance. And a lot of people can't afford $125.
Ow.
A visit.
Yeah. Or how often,
Exactly.
twice a month or whatever. That's a car note or something like that. But most companies do have employee assistance, which will allow you to see a therapist like 4 or 5 times or however many times per year. And you would just contact, it's called employee assistance. You can contact your HR department to get that type of assistance. So that is something that, you know, if you're feeling overwhelmed or you need help or you just need someone to talk to, but you don't have those finances, considering, you know, you're a full-time employee or, you know, all those little details, I would say contact your HR and ask about employee assistance.
Okay. Welcome back to Girl Talk. And we're going to finish up with mental illness.
One thing I wanted to share about that, pardon me, is it's amazing how many people, you know, who are, you know, 50 plus,
Right.
who haven't had the opportunity to heal appropriately. And with the I guess we'll call it the movement of people actually coming out
Right.
with ways to help individuals who suffer from mental health, or just coming out and sharing their stories. You know,
Right.
I do motivational speaking, and I share my own childhood traumas and stories, and it's just a beautiful thing when individuals reach out to you and they say, you know, I've noticed younger people like you telling your stories, and thank you, because it's allowing me to tell mine. And now I'm writing my book, and now I'm healing finally.
Right.
So there's a lot of people, you know, who need that.
Right.
You know, who need that. They've been holding this in for so many years and been taught, right? That the things that have happened to them, we don't talk about that.
Right.
Or like you said
Right.
before, sweeping it under the rug.
Right.
We don't talk about that. We don't do that. And that has been something that has stunted their development throughout all these different years that they've lived through, and had an effect on their own children.
Right.
Because they haven't been able to be healed, you know, appropriately.
Right.
I
That's
was-
so true.
I was watching a TED Talk with this black woman doctor, and now I can't think of her name. But basically, she was saying what you were saying, that a lot of childhood trauma manifests as illness later on in life.
Right.
And it's across the spectrum, racial, economic,
Exactly.
everything. So when you have those traumas and you are taught to not talk about them, keep them in the house, you know, all of that is still in there.
Yeah.
It's still
It's still in there.
It's still inside, and it's just manifesting
Right.
in anger. It's
Right.
manifesting in promiscuity.
And then you
It's
don't know
manifest-
why.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But people will label you as difficult, as crazy, as the black sheep, and all of that.
Right.
But no one is delving deeper. And I wonder if that's, I know some of it's cultural and taught, but if people don't have they don't acknowledge mental illness and they don't have the tools to deal with their own trauma, how can they have the tools to help someone else?
Right.
You know.
Right.
Right.
So I believe talking about it, just creating a safe space so that people know that, okay, if you say, I'm not okay today, I'm not going to judge you and say, oh,
Right.
she's lazy. Oh, she's
Right,
just wants some
right.
attention.
Or
That
she just in one of her moods today.
yeah.
You know, you have to stop and think,
Mm-hmm.
maybe something is really going on that I don't know.
And it's
You know,
important.
and I don't need
It's
to be
important.
mean to this person. Just respect that.
Yeah.
And it's about that fear factor. We have to get beyond that fear factor. You know, there's people who technology has made such a breakthrough. You know, so if you're able to get on your smartphone, you know, and get on Facebook and do all these other things, then you're able to do a little bit of research about what's going on in your life.
Right.
You're able to reach out,
Yeah.
you know, and get the help you need because it's right there at your fingertips.
But you know, sometimes people might not even think that something's wrong with them.
So true. That's true. Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times, you know, a lot of this stuff starts in the childhood. And we as parents, we don't realize that some of the stuff that we do to our kids has an effect on them all through their lives.
Yeah.
That's so true.
And it's more acceptable to drink your problems away, to smoke your problems
Yes,
away,
to eat your problems away.
to eat. I understand that emotional eating. No.
Yes.
versus, seeking professional help. And when I say professional help, I just don't mean like, you're laying on the couch and someone's, tell me about your childhood. That type
It's not
of
always
thing.
like
It's not always
I
that.
think, I think people think that.
But it's just so many different ways. Like a friend of mine, she went to like a group meditation. Like it's so many different, I don't know, just ways that you can connect, ways that you can practice self-care, ways that you can, take care of yourself mentally.
And see, that's why we're here to help promote this,
Mm-hmm.
and let people know that there is help. There's, always just, find someone that you can talk to that's going to be honest with you, that's not going to judge you, make you feel bad about, having an issue.
Yeah.
Because it happens to a lot of people.
And everyone.
I mean,
everyone
even if
goes
it
through
happens
something.
to Michelle and Destiny's Child, she said she admitted herself into a mental institution.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
For
This is-
depression.
Okay.
Yes.
This was maybe like 6 months ago.
Well,
Yeah.
good for her for accepting the fact that she needed help.
Right.
Because why do people commit suicide?
Right. And it's just like
where
the
does
guy
this lead to?
on there was on Young and the Restless.
Yeah.
That they found him dead. Well, his son had committed suicide, and he was in a mental hospital.
Was it,
And
was
he
it
asked-
Chris?
Yes,
Christopher St. John.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he even checked himself in because he was having some issues. So
Yeah.
you just be surprised at who has this issue. It's just
Yeah.
not you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised too, like we said, things drop in your body, serotonin, dopamine, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You don't know, you can't see what's going on.
Right.
And it's okay to just go and try to check yourself out. Like you said, self-care is so important, and some people do have the ability to, have a really good understanding of what works for them,
Yeah.
but most
Right.
people don't.
Yeah.
And some people have a good understanding of saying, "Oh, this is why I do this. This is why I act the way I act."
Yeah.
Everybody can't do that. So,
Yeah. Very important discussion.
yeah, it really is. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our first segment, and I ask that you will subscribe to our YouTube channel so you will never miss an episode. And until next time, God bless, and thank you for watching.